If you're looking to create a stud wall like this behind me and something strong enough to hold radiators on the wall, etc., then this video is for you. So you can see behind me I've created this stud wall to close an existing opening for our kitchen. Yeah, hopefully this can help you if you're looking to do something similar. So welcome back to a new video. Before we can finish this room and plaster, we need to figure out what we're doing with this opening here for the kitchen. What we're planning to do is close this opening down to fit a 762 door in, so like the slightly larger one. We're also planning on having a vertical radiator inside the kitchen here. I'm doing this whole job using 5 by 18mm wood screws, CLS wood, some structural plyboard and 12.5mm thick plasterboard. I also used 30mm plasterboard screws and PU foam adhesive. We can't start without the coffee, so let's get this down us and then we'll crack on. I've just started off with DPC course and then the lower piece of the CLS. It's going to be a straight run piece all the way along, and then once the door part is in, I'm just going to chop it out while it's there so we know it's all straight and level. Now I need to create the same piece for the top. I've got the measurement, it's 154, and we also haven't got the chop saw today, so we were doing everything by hand, which I guess fits the video as well because most people won't have one. Ideally I want to make it so it slots in nicely. I don't want to have it too small or too big. I want to be able to tap it up and it hold itself in place. But obviously it's a lot harder to do without the chop saw. And then this is first attempt, I should say. Yeah, so that's pretty much perfect. So I just need to give that a little tap up. And that's how you want it, because if it's slightly smaller, it's going to be a bit more awkward to try and maneuver everything around. 2, 1, 5. Right, so this is what we look like at the minute. We've got a top and bottom piece and then the 2 side pieces cut to size, and they're all in. Not fixed in, not level or anything, but that's ideally what you want to get to first. And then now you can go around and level them all out, and then I can go on to fixing them in. You might be wondering why I've used this CLS wood. So this is 38 by 68, I think. You'll see later on why I've used that size. That is intentional. Yeah, I just need to make sure that the gap on both sides is equal and top to bottom as well. So I've just pre-fixed them in. There's 2 screws in each batten at the minute. I've used concrete screws, these Torx ones. So it's all pretty solid now. The next pieces I need to put in are the next 2 vertical pieces that will give me my length of the wall as well. So I need to go and grab them, cut them to size, and then come back them in. As I mentioned at the start, we're going to put ply as a backing board. This is a ply that I've had pre-cut from B&Q just because it's easier. And I haven't fixed the second battens in yet, but this is essentially what the width of the stud will be. So this will be to the new door opening here. And then we're going to get a 3-rung vertical radiator to mount onto that. I've obviously accounted for the plasterboard here as well. So it should all, once it's fixed into place, match with the original wall if all goes to plan.
What a song. I have a dream. The slide door, I missed that.
We've got the 2 battens fixed in place. One thing I didn't mention at the start is we're not fitting a door frame because our plan is to have a sliding door fitted from this side. Essentially we need to make this gap just slightly smaller than that door. You need to take that into account if you are building a stud wall and you want to put a door frame in. You obviously need to account for all that. So at this point I need to put some noggins in and also create the stud for the top bit as well, because obviously it's not going to be this high. Yeah, I need to find out the measurements of the door and then build that down and account for the plasterboard just so it will eventually cover the door basically.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about before. These are the noggins that I'm putting in. Now because this side is where the radiator is going to be mounted, I'm probably going to put 2 more, just one at the top and one at the bottom in the middle at each side, just because, as I say, that's where the radiator is going to be mounted to, and we're not sure if we're going to get an aluminium or a steel one yet. Probably aluminium, but depending on what one we go for, we might not be able to have the choice. So yeah, a couple more noggins this side, probably just one that side, one at the top or a couple at the top, then I'll be ready to fit the plyboard, insulation and plasterboard. All this stud work's pretty much built now. It's all pretty solid. As I said, this side I've added some extra noggins just because that's where the radiator's going. I won't know exactly where the brackets are going, so I couldn't put extras in for that. Now I can move on to fitting these and then plasterboarding on top. Right, so it doesn't go all the way to the floor. That's usually what you do with plasterboard as well, so you don't get any rise and damp issues. That's pretty much the first piece partially fixed on. Right, as you can see, this side and face is all done now. So, I'm just gonna try and do this with one hand, but I'm gonna cut both of these ends off. So we've obviously got the opening, and then I can move on to plasterboarding these walls. Side's done. But I'm putting the plasterboard on now. As you can see, I've got this foam adhesive, PU foam, that I'm using. I've been using it a lot recently from doing a lot of the plasterboarding, and I found that it's a lot better and easier to use. What I've done is I've put it on the wall and the board because it needs to come out a few millimeters. But what you normally do is put it on and then leave it for a few minutes until it gets a bit of a skin, and then you put it on. I also use a few screws as well just to hold it in place. But when there's a little gap, what I normally do is just screw it in just so it grabs it, but not until it's dry. It's not sticking to my hand now, so that's how you know that it's kind of ready. Also, I'm a bit short on board, so I'm just cutting it to maximise. Yeah, so I've got a few screws just pre-drilled, so it's grabbed it. I just want to make sure that everything's level, because it's going to make my life a lot harder to plaster if I'm not doing this sort of stuff now. With normal foam it expands, but with PU foam it's really low expansion, and also by leaving it to dry slightly as I did, that gets rid of most of the expansion anyway, so in theory it shouldn't actually expand from this point. Again, I want to check it across this wall as well. I've just quickly come around to the other side and I've put this loft insulation in. It's better than nothing, and obviously because we're having the radiator on that side, it makes sense to insulate the room for sound as well. All I need to do now is do all the plasterboards, the corner beads, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll be ready to plaster. On this side, I pretty much replicated what I did on the first side. The foam's just going off on this side, so while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go around and do all the corner beads for the plastering. These are the beads that I'm using. It's worth noting, if you're going to do it yourself, that you can get different types of bead. This is the thin coat galvanized steel one. You can get ones that have a slightly more exaggerated edge, but if you're just skimming, then the thin coat ones are the best ones to go for. And the way that I'm applying them is just putting a really thin bead of this on, and then a couple of staples in just to hold it into place while it dries. Because with these, there's not much you have to do to fix them on. You don't want to force them into position because they're there to keep the level of the wall straight. So yeah, I don't know if you can see from there, but they're all level, top, bottom and sides, top and sides. Because I mentioned at the start I haven't put a door frame in, I've basically had to create this opening just slightly smaller than the door that we want. As I said, we're going to get a sliding door, so that will slide just past the opening. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, if you're building a stud wall of some kind, you'll be putting a door frame in. Make sure you consider that when you're doing something like this. This wall is 100% strong enough to mount radiators to, shelves, and anything else that you would mount to a normal wall. So all that's left to do at this point is to tape all the joints, all the corner beads, and then it'll be ready for skimming. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you could take something from it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, other DIY stuff, got a whole kitchen renovation to do, so make sure you subscribe and follow along for more.